I mean, any film is a responsibility because you're spending money that's not yours, and so you've got to be responsible for that. I also feel very responsible for the fact that you're trying to entertain people, and and for me, utter failure is to make a film that people go to and they pay their money to go see and they don't like it. So, from that point of view, I'm sure there are people that have seen these films that they don't like them, but the majority of people, certainly from what we can see, the majority of people have gone and enjoyed them, which is, for me, that's why we do what we do.
Not many times an actor gets a chance to revisit a character on more than one occasion.
Yes.
What does it allow you to do then as an actor? Does it kind of allow you more freedom, or is it an easier or harder opportunity as an actor?
Well, it gives you the opportunity to actually grow and expand inside what you're doing. So I love to expand inside Bilbo over a course of 3 years. What? And that's the truth. And I'm only telling the truth, and now I'm being persecuted for it. And I think we know another man that happened to, don't we? No, I'm just saying that within that, we all have a long time. I was going to be so good on this. We have a long time to play and discover things that our characters do. We don't just have 5 minutes. You have a long time to sort of play this, and if it's not your time to, because I was always having the conversation with Peter. When do I get to be angry? When do I get to sort of show that different side? And he would always be saying, it's coming, don't worry, pace yourself. Exactly. You have to shape it out, and what you learn is to pace yourself, and you learn to, you learn patience, basically. That time where you want to play that and you want to show that about that character, it will come, but you just have to wait. Yes.
I was just impressed last night by the age of the kids who slept out all night to come and wish us well. And some of them weren't born in the last century when we started. Not born. So our work is part of their lives, and what are we doing it for? Other than to have an effect, and that the effect could be that crucial to them, and that they're now going to show these films to their own kids. To have been involved in films that are now classics is overwhelming. You can't take any credit for it, but it just happened. And so in the end, it's not the end, it's the beginning now, as people see the film. And then we'll want to see the 6 of them. And that'll be a whole other new experience that none of us has been able to have until this last Hobbit was made.
We're about 3 or 4 years away from the generation that will see these films, the 6 movies, in the order that they should see them, in the story order rather than the order they were shot. Because children that are too young now, like 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, too young to see these films. In a few years, but a very short time, they'll be able to start to see them, and hopefully they'll see them from the Hobbit 1 through to the Return of the King. So we're very soon, we're not going to have this sort of back to front thing. It'll be like it'll exist as the 6 film, story that it should be.
Is that what you planned from the start?
Well, not at the Lord of the Rings. I didn't know I was going to do the Hobbit, but when we knew we were going to do the Hobbit, we were always thinking of the full arc of the story, because there's a lot of stuff in the Hobbit that we did, that we planted, which is designed to, for the people that do finally see it in the correct order, it'll make sense.
He wasn't a hero when I first read him on the page. He was just a lowly bargeman. I know what he was capable of and what he ends up doing in the 3rd movie, but when I started playing him all those years ago, he was a father of 3 without a wife, and he had a long journey ahead of him, but it was very satisfying last night to actually see the final, the look of that rooftop sequence, which was the first thing I ever shot, wasn't it, Pete?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I think it was very clear on the page. It was, so he jumped off the page to me from the first reading of it, but yeah, we got to play around. I mean, it was a good opportunity for him to play with me and bully me a bit and throw eggs at me. So there was great fun to be had with him, because he has a sort of foolish nature. He's a sort of dark, clownish character. So I enjoyed being able to find a little bit of me that's a fool, and a bit of me that is vain.
Quite a lot in there, actually.
And the bit of me that is sort of bitter and greedy and all those things, and exaggerate it and have fun being that person for a while. So it was a great treat to be him.
Is this really the end of Middle Earth, or do you see something in the books of Tolkien's where you would say this is worth to do another movie? I mean, we are in the century of franchise.
Well, we have the extended cut of the Battle of the Five Armies, which is going to be a fantastic extended cut. There's some really great stuff. So I go back to New Zealand in the new year. I will be working for 4 or 5 months putting that together, which will be fun, because it's all going to be. It's actually some quite good stuff in it. So I'm looking forward to that. Then look, at that point, I mean, it's a legal thing. The Tolkien estate owns the writings of Professor Tolkien. The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings were sold by Professor Tolkien in the late 60s, the film rights, but they are the only 2 works of his that have ever been sold as, as potential films. And so without the cooperation of the Tolkien estate, there can't be films.
I'm disappointed that I've not yet had a chance to see this in 48 frames, but I'm looking forward to that. How do you feel now about the whole high frame rate? I mean, I don't know if you call it an experiment. Do you think you'll continue working in that format?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that it's a much better way to see films, and after the first Hobbit movie, I went back into the grading room and I figured out a lot of little tricks to make it look less like the video thing. I mean, I know that people criticised it the first time around. I sort of understood why when I did a lot of work. So the second and third Hobbit movies have got a slightly different look, more of a textured package, which I regret I didn't do in the first film, but it took a while to figure it out. But look, the way that I always answered that question, because it's a very fair question, is to say that 100 years ago, movies were black and white, they were silent, they were 16 frames a second, okay? And so 100 years from now, what are they going to be? I mean, I don't know, and we just do not know what form films are going to be in 100 years' time, but I think you can absolutely guarantee they're not going to be 24 frames a second, and they're not going to be 2D. So at what point between now and 100 years do these advances actually happen? So I just think it's, and ultimately, the audiences for movies are beginning to dwindle. There's so much competition for seeing things on iPhones and iPads and everything else that it has become a very serious issue for the industry, because the industry has to have the audiences in order to make these films. It's to sort of feed itself. So it's become a very serious thing for the industry of how do you get people to leave their houses and go to the theatre. I mean, the audiences are slipping away, so I think it's important that filmmakers do look at the technology that's available and just think of how we can use it to make that experience in the cinema a little bit more exciting. So that's my theory. I mean, I'm going to miss the fun on the set. I mean, as Martin said, I kind of, making films is very, very hard, and if you're making 3 of them like this, 266 days of shooting, it can be bloody hell if it's not fun. And so I want to go to work in the morning and have fun. I want to enjoy myself. And fortunately, this cast is just such a fantastic cast, and they're all very, very funny people. And I just, outside of the fact that the cameras were rolling and we were all doing our part to create the movie, as soon as the cameras stopped rolling, it was just fun. It was an enjoyable way to spend the day, and I'm certainly going to miss that.
How did you find putting yourself in this fantastical situation? Because you weren't in the other one, so it's also new for you in your life as well.
I'm very proud of the films. I'm very proud of my participation, and I'm proud on all our behalves, really. That's why I don't feel sad about this being the third one. I just want people to see it and like it. I think the message is pretty straightforward. It's not the first story in the world that kind of had that sort of message of human history, but I think the reason it recurs is because it's strong and it's also it's aspirational because we want it to be true, but it is also true. You know, most actual heroes in the world are not 6'5" and look like Vikings. You know, most everyday heroes do not look like that. We all know that to be true. Hollywood doesn't always tell us that truth. That's why we think it's surprising that Bilbo could be a hero. Well, actually, most people that we've ever met who we would consider heroic or brave or inspirational don't look like Dolph Lundgren. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's not the first sort of tale in human history that's told about, but I think it's one that's worth retelling.
And when you go around New Zealand, where you find a war memorial to the dead in every village, they're often represented by a statue, sometimes in concrete rather than marble, but it's always of some perfectly ordinary looking man, isn't it? I find them extremely moving, and in Lord of the Rings, you know, Frodo doesn't get back home, as most of those lads didn't. But Bilbo does. So in a sense, the Hobbit is a movie with a happy ending.
I've got to just say that this cast at the table here, they're responsible for allowing you to connect with their characters, and I just think it was such wonderfully, you know, skillful to not allow the fact that you're a wizard or you're a hobbit or you're an elf or you're a dwarf to overwhelm the performance. That there was always, everyone here found the truth in the characters that they were playing, so you could connect with an elf or a dwarf or a hobbit, and it was fine. And that was so important that these films had that. It was going to depend on the skill of the cast, and these guys were superb.